get your bags, guys.
This place looks worse than the projects.
It started out small.
It's got measles bumps.
It's a tick. Vampires of the insect world.
A part of Mother Nature's wonder.
What is so inspiring about bugs and insects and snakes?
But then they grew
Don't move. There's something on your back.
Get off now!
and grew
Just don't touch it if you don't know what it is. Don't touch it, it attacked me.
unimaginable,
Ticks do not get this big.
unthinkable, unbelievable.
There was a huge fire and a whole bunch of those tick things headed this way.
Where civilization ends, the nightmare begins.
Everybody get upstairs! Go! Go, go, go!
Ticks. It's not nice to mess with Mother Nature.
Welcome to They Call This a Movie, testing the strength of friendships one terrible movie at a time. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and on podcast services by searching They Call This a Movie, and find us on Twitter and Instagram at TicTamPod. That's TCTAM Pod. Welcome back to They Call This a Movie. This is Anthony Del Vecchio. With me, as always, is Dan Aquino and Mark Meyer. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hey, friends.
Hello, everyone. So for my opening tonight, what I describe, we can do one of two things. We can either, you guys can tell of a similar thing that happened to you guys, or we can critique what this means to me. So you'll understand once I explain. So last night, while I had dreaming a little bit, and I don't remember my dreams in full a lot, but one moment in the dream happened, and it's all I can think about, and I have no idea why it happened and what it means. All of a sudden, out of nowhere in my dream, popped up Ben Affleck, and not just Ben Affleck as Batman, and he helped me get into a nightclub, and that's all I remember. I have no idea why it was particularly Ben Affleck's Batman, or why I needed to get into the nightclub. So I've been thinking about this all day and trying to figure out what the rest of the dream was so that I could put the pieces together. And I just thought I'd bring it up to everybody in the audience because it was really fucking weird. And I had not seen anything Justice League or anything in a long, long time. So,
If this is a signal of the Zack Snyderverse coming back, I'm gonna kill you.
I mean, I would kill myself.
I will hunt you down, Mark.
Mark is touching upon my favorite thing in the world: people telling me about their dreams.
Is that a real thing?
I couldn't care less about other people's dreams. No offense to you, Mark, in this specific conversation. However, yeah, when someone says, I had this weird dream last night, let me tell you about it, and instantly I'm checked out.
I think because it's such a personal experience that
it's always you had to be there sort of thing.
Of course.
Like, it was so crazy. I had a dream that a hamburger was eating me. I was like, oh, wow, that is crazy.
Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying, Ed. And I get it. The reason I brought it up was because it was such a specific person and character. Okay. I don't know. It was just like, it wasn't like, oh, it's a weird dream. Hamburger eats me. I only ran around with red clothes on or something like that. What does it mean? Mm-hmm. Well, why Ben Affleck's Batman?
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Were you trying to get into Aqua or Haunted House? Because I want to go to Haunted House more than I want to go to Aqua.
I think I would agree with you. I would say from that skit, I know I can't remember. I was going to make a joke that it was one or the other, but but yeah, it was
bamboo.
Yeah, it was Bamboo. Actually, it was Hemingway's.
Aqua's closed down now because Kim Kardashian's head fell off there.
Oh my god,
on the back porch fell.
Oh my god.
this is
But
terrible.
yeah, so
I'll tell you, Mark, and this isn't just for this part of the episode. This is real. I had a dream maybe 3 or 4 nights ago that I was having a sit down conversation with Bill Hader. I don't know, but that was it. There was nothing special about it. It was just we were sitting down and we talked about something. I don't know what it was, but
yeah, me and you can talk about this because Ant just went to go get a drink.
What was that?
but I completely understand Anthony's point of view because I'm not one to really get super engaged when someone says they have a dream because a lot of the times it's my wife. They'll be like, oh, I dreamt that I was a
Dreams
squirrel.
about your wife having a dream.
Yeah, my wife having a dream. Like, oh, I dreamt I was a squirrel the other night, or I dreamt you cheated on me. I'm like, oh, great.
No,
Perfect.
bad.
This is exactly what I want to hear.
I've never even gotten through the "I have a dream" speech. I was just like, "Oh, here we go."
Completely other reason why you don't like that speech. There's nothing to do with the dream.
So let me just scroll through TikTok while we get through this.
Can you imagine? Oh my god, if TikTok was around back then, dear lord, it would have been way worse. And it was already bad enough.
Yeah, live reactions.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would have been spun around so many different ways. Dear lord.
And that's what you get here. They called this a movie. We turned it from Mark's dream of Ben Affleck as Batman to what if TikTok was around during the civil rights movement.
Well, that's for a different discussion.
Yeah. Listen to our Patreon episode about it.
Yeah. Yes, and special category Mark talking about his dreams.
Oof, that's like.
I will say I don't think it's a good idea to make that a permanent thing. You know what I'm saying?
That'd be the Patreon level that we would label perverts.
Perfect.
Because
I'm good with it.
Anybody that subscribes to a Patreon specifically to hear someone talk about their dreams can't not be a pervert.
Or some deep-seated issues, probably.
Yeah.
So is this one of the things that is going on the banned list now, Ant, along with George and Sandals?
Yeah. We are not devoting an entire episode to Mark's dreams. He could do a one-man show about his dreams if he wants to.
I'd go watch
it. He's got the Twitch. He can talk about it on his Friday night streams.
Ooh.
Whatever.
There you go. Mark, he just gave you a perfect idea.
I gave you content. I want 10% on the back end.
You want points?
Yeah.
Points.
Yeah. I want to dig into the foreign market on that one. Okay.
Dreams.
All right. Yeah. We took last week off because it was the 4th of July. It was also a couple of people's birthdays. We won't name names, but they decided not to work that week. So we're back, and we are talking a movie that Dan picked. So Dan, why don't you introduce this week's movie?
Sure. The movie I picked was from 1993, and this was the little niche area where people were afraid of bugs. Apparently, you had arachnophobia. In this movie, Ticks, starring Seth Green and I'm gonna butcher his name, Alfonso Ribeiro, and that was the main reason because Alfonso Ribeiro was in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was pretty disappointed in what they did there. But that's the movie I picked, Ticks. It was something that kept popping up on my For You page on Amazon, and I thought, you know what, this will probably be a fun campy movie with like giant ticks and all that. I was half right, but not in the good way. This movie let me down. I expected great things of it for some reason, so maybe that's a me problem for expecting a Seth Green led movie to be fun and exciting. This is rough. I will say that watching this movie, Seth Green and Alfonso Ribeiro, not great actors. They're good. They're fine actors than everyone else in the cast. And it blows my mind because, again, like, those guys are what would you say, like C-list actors, really? Maybe Seth Green is a B-list. He's on
Absolutely
Family
not.
Guy.
Let's go with C.
C.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bite your
So-
tongue on Seth Green being a B-list actor.
I figured Family Guy would give him that bump up in grades. But
No.
but listen,
Not to me, anyway.
I'll cede to you. And Alfonso Ribeiro hosting. I think he's still hosting America's Funniest Home Video. Is that still a thing?
I think so.
He's on the Game Channel, I'd imagine, at this point, or the Game Show Network. So yeah, I thought it'll be campy, and these guys, the movie tried too hard. It didn't reach that camp level.
Okay. Mark, where you come from?
Yeah.
Ticks.
Yeah, so I only remembered Dan mentioning the name of the movie, and I'd forgotten all about the Alfonso Ribeiro and Seth Green being in it. So when the credits popped up, I was very, very excited, as Dan probably was picking the movie.
Excited.
Yeah.
Those two names made you excited.
Well, because I was like, okay, this is going to be really bad, like, movie in the sense it's great for this podcast. And just like Dan, I was disappointed in that. I was encouraged in the beginning when Carlton came out and tried to be a tough street LA gangster, and used the word Holmes a lot. And I'm like, all right, just get real campy with this character, and I can roll with it. And then Seth Green doing what Seth Green did during that period of time in his acting roles, out all the way up until Kenny Fisher. And it was just, once they got in the van and you met the other characters, it was just, I just lost any chance it had in my mind of being any kind of good, fun camp, as Dan mentioned a few times. And just really the only thing that the movie had that I, was impressed by and enjoyed was the bug design. They just basically made large ticks, but they looked really good for budget and time frame that this movie was made. I think for the most part they were practical. And I think they would look terrible CGI. If it was nowadays.
CGI at this point. 93.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, most of them, like maybe when they were scattering on the ground running away from the fire, maybe it was like early CGI, but I think everything else was really well done and more practical.
Me, and Ant, maybe you could hop in with that. It looked like stop motion when there would be a wide shot of them scurrying around.
Yeah, I didn't notice any CG. Potentially, yeah, it could have been stop motion. I'm assuming I would have noticed it if it was CG, just because I'm assuming it would be pretty terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for a movie that cost $2 million to make in 1993.
It's true.
So I'm assuming they're all practical.
I agree, though, Mark. I liked the tick design. It wasn't half bad. I expected worse.
Yeah, and I think the only thing that I was disappointed was I didn't the whole egg sac thing.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because I don't know what an actual tick egg sac looks like. That really did nothing for me in terms of the grossness or realism of it being as large as it was. But yeah, and I like that they had everything you're designed to know about ticks. They remembered when shooting this movie, and they just conveniently forget because they were larger ticks. Like the head staying in Alfonso Ribeiro when after he rips the tick out was really well done. And I don't know, I've never had to put fire near a tick, so I don't know if they explode.
No, they don't.
Even if it's like a little poof, like on your leg. I think more when you do the fire, it makes them disengage and they fall off, I would imagine, is what happens if that is a remedy. I don't think they explode like they do in this movie.
I don't think you're supposed to burn them while they're on you.
That could be true too.
Yeah, I think you do that after you take them out.
Yeah.
Because then you burn yourself. And
yeah, you could. That's true.
That doesn't help.
Yeah, but a lot of I think they could have went a little deeper with some of the they mentioned some of the effects of the tick bites, and they only really used one of them from what I could tell. which is the LSD-like experience that you have from it. But they said something. I thought the doctor said something about paralyzation or something, and I don't think I saw that at any point. As they were able to move around with the ticks in them. But yeah, I think the creature design, and especially the final reveal of the giant tick was really, really good. The franticness of the last 10, 15, 20 minutes or whatever it was probably the best part of the movie. And I love that they still made the age-old mistake of, let someone in from the outside, and then they turn out to be the bad guy. The good guys are too good sometimes. But yeah, that was it. I mean, it was a lot more of a grind to get through than I was hoping, or that the opening made me think it was. But at least we got those final minutes with all those bugs rolling around and the giant tick. So yeah.
Okay. As for me, I don't know if I'm as harsh on this movie as you guys. I think the last 20 minutes is chaos and probably obviously the best part of it. If there's something I dislike more than listening to someone talk about their dreams, it's Seth Green.
What about Seth Green talking about his
his dreams?
Oh my gosh.
Is that your personal hell?
Yeah, that would be it. Me going to hell listening to Seth Green talk about his dreams. Oof. Yeah. I like the fact that everyone in this movie is like 5'8" and under. It just makes me laugh because it's a movie about ticks, so everyone's tiny.
A lot of short kings.
A lot of short kings. Alfonso Ribeiro towers over Seth Green, and he's like 5'7". And Peter Scolari is not much taller. So I appreciate that. I find that adorable. You just pick this whole cast, put it in your pocket. It's fine. It's a silly movie that's called Ticks, and it delivers exactly on what the title says it is. There's frustrating parts of it of like, why didn't you just be like, hey, Peter Scolari, check out this thing I found in the closet. Maybe we shouldn't stay here tonight.
Right.
But maybe he probably would have just told you to fuck off because he's just there to get his dick wet, apparently.
He kept getting cock blocked.
I don't know what his motivations are other than he just wants to fuck.
Well, I had written down that the plot tried too hard. You don't need to have anything other than the kids just being in the woods.
Right. So they're all supposed to be there because they each have a problem with nature, right? Is what he says to his tape recorder.
Yes.
But as far as I could tell, it's just Tyler, Seth Green's character, that has a specific problem with nature, which is he's afraid of the woods.
None of them want to be there.
Well, yeah, who wants to be there? Why would they want to be there?
Of course, no, because they're all inner city kids for the most part. Why would they want to be alone in the woods? Mm-hmm. That's not their milieu. Right.
I don't know why the two that pulled up in the convertible went there. They didn't seem like they had any issues. I also wonder what they did with the convertible because they drove over with the top down and then they just left it in the under the overpass.
Yeah,
that car is not going to be there when they get back.
No, I don't think we ever see it again.
Yeah, this movie. Oh, good.
I was gonna say the movie just kind of ends, right? Yeah. The people who live escape, and then there's a cutaway shot of another tick egg
in LA.
In LA, yeah. So we don't really know what became of our heroes. Really, they just kind of they escaped.
Yep. Find out in Ticks 2.
Is there a Ticks 2
in LA?
No, there is not. There's not.
Oh, thank God.
I don't think there is.
I'm shocked that you aren't as hard on this movie.
I just think maybe it's just expectations. I didn't have high expectations for it. Mm-hmm. I had an idea what this movie was, and more or less it met those expectations.
Yeah. I was expecting it to be somewhat like a Trolls type movie.
Okay.
Up in certain parts, there are certain actors that you could tell are very much reading their lines. I think like Dee Dee, her character, a lot of times when she is talking to like Seth Green or she's talking to another character, it's really just talking at him, like reading the script and not acting. The one scene where they're in the, I guess it's like a morgue or a vet's room for the dog, and the tick kind of understands it's aware of its situation. So I thought it was going to be more along those lines, like the ticks are smart.
Sure.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I wasn't sure if you had finished that thought.
Yeah, I was trying to think of. I thought some of the gore effects weren't too bad.
Yeah,
especially the ending when the giant tick rips out of Alfonso Ribeiro.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that, so I kind of give the movie props for going the extra mile for the body horror in some spots.
Yeah. And we should give a shout out to friend of the podcast, Clint Howard, in this movie.
Clint Howard and his dad Rance show up in this movie.
Which one was Rance? I was trying to figure out.
He's a sheriff.
Oh,
the old man.
Yes.
He's the only one that is over 6 foot tall in this movie. He's 6'1". Because I got into a thing when I was like,
I want to explore this a little bit.
After the first scene with Alfonso Ribeiro and Seth Green, because Seth Green is a very little person. He's like 5'4", and 90% of the jokes hurled at Carlton on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air were about how small he was. So I was like, well, how tall is he? And he's like 5'8". And it's like, oh, well, Clint Howard's not a tall person. How tall is he? Peter Scolari is the short bosom buddy. How tall is he? And
it's funny. Ant is obsessed with height. I guess that's the privilege of being 6 foot tall. You can do that to other people.
Especially with Seth Green, I need a reason to hate him, and just like the fact that he's 5'4", it's like right there.
He gives more than one reason.
Oh yeah, 100%. But like when pressed, if I was like, he's short, he deserves my ire.
He acts as if he's 6. When he, especially nowadays, his bravado. This is going to become the Seth Green bashing hour if we're not careful, because I'm pretty sure none of us on this podcast are really big Seth Green fans.
Look, he could only ride the coattails of Robot Chicken for so fucking long, man.
Yeah, that's true. And it's funny. He's a child actor. He's been around for a long time.
Yep. He's also a ginger. I mean, let's not forget that.
He hides it well, though, because I feel as if I think he kind of goes for more of the like dirty brown, like a more brownish red. I think he was aware of it. I was like, all right, well, I can't have that. I can't be short and a ginger. That's 2 strikes right there. So maybe he dyed it more brownish, because I'm looking at his IMDb page, and it's really like a dark brown now.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting. I mean, the only kid that dies in this movie is the black kid. He almost gets murdered and then raped in that order.
Yeah, he gets beat up pretty good.
I wasn't expecting it to take a turn.
And possibly eaten?
Yes. There's just a line that his name's Terry or something like that. The stupid hillbilly, where he says, "Let's kill him first."
And then they don't really follow through on what they're going to do next.
Yeah. There's 2 things he could be talking about: eating him or fucking his corpse. But Sir seemed to be interested in having sex with him.
I didn't pick up on that vibe, but I wouldn't put it past them. They're hillbillies, right?
Yeah, there's a shot of him. He's got Alfonso Ribeiro on the ground, and he's holding the shotgun quite phallically, and he asks him, then they start calling him the F word.
Yeah.
So I felt like there was a little bit of projection in there.
Yeah. It's like all 3 things were going to happen, and I couldn't tell in what order they wanted to do them.
Yeah.
At this point, it's 1993. Fresh Prince has been on for 3 years.
That's one of the craziest things to me.
And this is what Alfonso was pulling.
This is like, I guess he probably shot it in 91, maybe.
Okay, so he wasn't the household name yet. Carlton's not in the
Right.
zeitgeist.
Fresh Prince of Bel Air started in 1990,
Yeah.
though. So this was like the summer off in between seasons.
Okay.
Maybe it was season 2 and 3 or season 1 and 2. But I was surprised that this was as Fresh Prince was on the air. I thought it might have been before, because in the trivia they said David Gale, the doctor from Reanimator, was supposed to be Sir, but he died the previous year, the year before shooting. So that was 91. So this would have been shot in 92 if we're taking that as literal.
Okay.
So that would have been the season between, that would have been the summer between season 2 and probably season 3 of Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
So I'm assuming, because it's been so long since I watched Fresh Prince, that it probably doesn't pick up until it doesn't get its legs until, I could be wrong though. I don't remember when it became big, Fresh Prince.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming, I felt like there was the show itself was what it was, off the hop. You know what I mean?
So you're thinking it became pretty popular from jump.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have ratings on here for me, but
it's still surprising that this is what Alfonso is getting at that point, I guess, like a B horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then how he's treated, like he's a stereotype.
Yeah.
Right. From the minute you meet him, he's threatening to, I think, stab someone, and he's talking in slang, where it's a very weird juxtaposition to Carlton.
So Will Smith's 1993 was Made in America, Whoopi Goldberg, Ted Danson, and 6 Degrees of Separation.
Quite
okay.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just, I was thinking about it while I was watching. I can't believe he agreed to allow this to be his character, where he's the only one who dies. The only main character who dies, because there are Clint Howard also dies, and I think the sheriff dies.
Yeah, the sheriff is killed by the hillbilly.
Right, and then the hillbillies die, but they're not really main characters. But yeah, I also found myself a little shocked that he would kind of go for it.
Yeah.
Take this script. But
it just feels like a movie you make between Silver Spoons and Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
Yeah.
Right.
You're not wrong.
This feels like
for something better coming down the pipe.
Before the pilot gets picked up for Fresh Prince, you go out and you shoot this movie.
Yeah, just in case, right? You gotta.
And I mean,
on the table.
He's like the 4th, 5th build on Fresh Prince of Bel Air, so he's not like a huge star ever, really. But was Alfonso Ribeiro ever a household name, or was Carlton the household name? You know what I mean?
It was Carlton. Yeah,
he was that.
It's one of those things where he had a hard time escaping the character, right? It was like the Bud Bundy or David Faustino.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I agree. I would say Carlton Alfonso.
Yeah. So Ticks from 1993 is directed by Tony Randall. Not that one, but the other one.
No. Yeah, not of Odd Couple fame.
Yeah, but that's the only way I know. That's the only way I could possibly see pronouncing that last name is Randall.
Trust me, the second that name popped up, the first thing I did was went to IMDb, like Tony Randall.
He also directed Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, Children of the Night, Amityville 2: It's About Time, Fist of the North Star, The Hybrids Family, and A Doggone Adventure. Stars Seth Green, Alfonso Ribeiro, Peter Scolari, Rosalind Allen, Amy Dolans, Virginia Keene, Ray Oriel, Dina Dayrit, Michael Medeiros, Barry Lynch, Clint Howard, and Rance Howard. IMDb score of 5.5, Rotten Tomato score of 71% on like 7 reviews. Budget $2 million and no box office. You guys want to get into the plot?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, then we got.
All right, friends. I'm asking you to go check out 2 great podcasts. The first being The Top 10 with Tia. Tia has been on this podcast several times. She is hilarious. She is a great person. Just go over to geekvibesnation.com, search The Top 10 with Tia. It'll pop right up. And last but not least, our very own Mark Myers holding down the fort at the Game Vault podcast, which is a bi-weekly podcast. You can find it on any podcast platform of your choice. He covers video game news, video games that he's playing, games that you should kind of be aware of, should be on your radar. He's also on Twitch, streaming multiple games. I think he's playing... what were you playing, Mark? You were playing Yoshi Island.
Yep, I just finished Yoshi Island
And
and moved on to Donkey Kong Country.
Donkey Kong Country, there you go. That's one of my faves, so I'll definitely be tuning in, and I would recommend you do the same. Just go to Game Vault Pod on Twitch, and you could also follow them on all socials at Game Vault Pod.
Okay, great. And we're going to take a quick break, and you guys are going to listen to messages from friends of the podcast. So we will be right back. And welcome back. Now it's time to get into plot for Ticks. We open on a barn in the middle of the night in a serious windstorm as the credits roll, which happens to be housing someone's hydroponic marijuana grow house. The machinery starts dripping some sort of sludge that drips onto what looks like some sort of shrimp scampi elsewhere. Four-eyed Seth Green gets out of his dad's truck as his dad drops him off with someone named Miss Lambert, who I guess runs some sort of program under the overpass. Dad is only doing this so Tyler can get better, whatever that means.
Yeah, and I didn't realize what was going on because when he just leaves, there's like nobody there for Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, is he just like making him live on the street? Like, what's going on here?
So I would do if Seth Green was my kid.
All right, here we go.
Just kick him to the curb.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Miss Lambert will be around. Don't worry.
Just keep looking.
Yeah. The dad leaves, and Tyler starts having some flashbacks of being in the woods when he was a kid. And then tough guy Alfonso Ribeiro comes out of nowhere telling Tyler he needs to play deadly game of horse or panic, as Alfonso says his name is, will feed him to his very ferocious border collie.
I thought the same thing. I had written down, is there anything less intimidating than Alfonso Ribeiro and Border Collie?
Oh, Alfonso Ribeiro using the word homes a lot.
I'm surprised. I'm shocked they didn't give him a pit bull, right? Like if they were going full stereotype.
I was going to say maybe they didn't want to be too much of a stereotype, and that was 100% someone's dog on set.
Yeah.
I'll feed you to my terrifying dog, Lassie. It just doesn't fit.
No. And then Tyler makes 2 free throws and then tells Panic he's done playing his game. At that point, a van pulls up and Miss Lambert hops out and introduces herself, as does Peter Scolari, and who has a daughter who will be helping out too. So Tyler and Panic put their stuff in the van, and then a guy and a girl in a convertible pull up and also join them. Meanwhile, Clint Howard looks over his grow house and curses out the dripping ooze from the machinery. And as the van is on the road, he gets a flat tire, so everyone gets out, and Panic notices a tick on his dog. So Tyler helps him take it off and then burns it. With the tire repaired, they stop off at a truck stop, and one of the local hillbillies scams on Peter Scolari's daughter. She is only saved by some other, I guess, hillbilly? I thought he was supposed to be like a rich guy, but then gets very hillbilly-ish towards the end.
He has this characteristic where he just combs his hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does give off that affluent kind of vibe, right? But we know nothing about these two.
Yeah.
Are they the ones who create the mutant ticks?
No.
Right.
That's Clint Howard, but it's completely accidental.
Oh, I didn't know it was him.
He's using some sort of steroid on his marijuana plants to make them grow faster. Because that steroid,
Started dripping on ticks.
Yeah, they start dripping on ticks.
I didn't make that connection.
Yeah, they say it at the vet's office. Because she is able to identify the smell of some sort of solvent or whatever she calls it substance on the tick that she does an autopsy on. And then she mentions that some marijuana growers in the area use it to grow them faster.
Okay, I did not pick up on that.
Yeah, but I feel like if this was David Gale, we would get the better impression of what that character was supposed to be.
The Clint Howard, or no, the Sir. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because he does such a good job in Reanimator.
Yeah.
And he's definitely an intimidating presence.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he would have been more intimidating in this role had he not died.
Yeah. R.I.P.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Tyler watches Panic go through everyone's stuff and finds a bag of steroids, which is just like candy, rock candy.
Oh, it's almost, it looks like the blue meth from Breaking Bad.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone's ever seen what steroids actually look like, but there you go. And then he also finds a bunch of condoms too.
I've always thought steroids were like a clear liquid.
Right.
Right.
Maybe there are other steroids. So I'm thinking of the same type, the anabolic steroids.
Yeah, the ones that you would see in the after-school specials they shoot up.
Yeah, like, the ones that made Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno famous. And back in the grow house, Clint Howard comes face to face literally with the overgrown tick that he has helped create. Winds up catching himself in a bear trap, and we see a bunch of tick eggs as well. Van stops at some rundown campground, and everyone gets out and moves their stuff into the cabins. Tyler goes to put his stuff in the closet, comes across another egg, which he pokes with a coat hanger. A whole bunch of goo starts pouring out of it. So rather than doing anything with it, he just closes the closet door.
Yeah, you would think when this happens, you would immediately go, we're not sleeping in this dorm. I don't know what the hell that is.
Especially for someone that has anxiety.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is supposed to be him overcoming his fears, but not yet. So he should be, all right, let's go.
And it's weird that the whole, from what I gathered, it seemed to be a science experiment almost, right? Because the what's his name, Chase, right? The doctor, Charles Danson character. He's talking into a recorder about how almost as if all the kids are subjects. So part of me thought, oh, he knows about the ticks, and he's going to see how they are able to come to, like, if they could come together and solve this problem. But he has zero clue along with the rest of us.
It feels like they're really pulling from Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors.
Okay.
Like all these kids are going to come together and because of their special set of skills or whatever.
Yeah.
Speaking of movies about dreams, and like those differences are going to help them team up and defeat the ticks.
Right.
But that's not what happens.
Yeah, you're right, because the Charles, he mentions how each one of them has a unique skill almost, right?
Yeah.
Or a personality that you would think comes into play, but it doesn't.
No. And it's given such gravity, his talking to this tape recorder, which is like the very next scene of like the movie stops for him to give this essentially a monologue to a tape recorder for 2-3 minutes. And it means nothing. Because like the next scene we see of Peter Scolari is him banging Miss Lambert.
That's right. Yeah, and I don't think we ever see him talk into the tape recorder again.
No. And he doesn't do anything that you would think a therapist or a psychiatrist would do. Because I'm assuming that's what the kind of doctor he is, right?
So then the only explanation is he was using that as a ruse to get into that woman's pants.
Yeah.
Like no, sweetheart, I'm totally a doctor. Look, I have a tape recorder that I spoke into. Science. Now let's fuck.
What? Unless he's like trying to scam the grant office, He's getting a grant and he's just like pocketing that money.
Maybe. That'd be great.
We'll take some kids to the woods. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, they're not going to check this stuff.
Yeah. His grant proposal was written on like a bar napkin. And they're like, it looks good to me.
His grant proposal was due that day, and he had completely forgotten about it. He's like, oh shit, I gotta write something down. Kids in woods. That'll work.
As we mentioned, Peter Scolari starts keeping an audio journal about the treatment. I guess everyone is there because they're afraid of nature in some way. Maybe. And then Tyler and Peter Scolari's daughter, Melissa, go walking in the woods. They find a gigantic tick on her back, which Tyler manages to eventually get off with a stick. The tick then grabs the stick and runs away with it. I do like the personalities these ticks get.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be like they were almost gremlin like,
right,
in some aspects, but then they kind of ditch it in the second part of the movie.
Yeah, they just become a swarm, really. Tyler and Melissa run back to the camp where Scolari, whose name is Charles, is cooking everyone dinner, and they try to explain what they just saw. But everyone just brushes them off, and Charles tells Melissa that no one else is complaining about the trip, so she should just stop. And then the wealthy guy, or Sir, we're going to call him, and the hillbilly from the truck stop show up and to warn everybody to stay away from the locals because they're dealing with growing marijuana since the logging work dried up. The rich guy tells them they could call him Sir, which absolutely not.
Nope.
There's no fucking way in hell I would. Not a fucking chance. If someone's like, you can call me Sir, I would say, fuck the hell I won't.
What would it take for you to call him Sir?
Money. Several dollars.
What if he gave you some of that sweet, sweet kush?
How much kush are we talking about?
What about a pound?
Pound. So yeah, I'll take a pound of marijuana. Free of charge? Absolutely.
Yeah. Do whatever you want. You just have to call him Sir.
For a pound of weed, I could muster up a Sir.
It's not asking a lot, really, Ant. It's just a term of respect, really.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and find out how to unload a pound of weed. How much does a pound of weed go for?
I don't know. A pound was the first thing. I panicked a little bit. That was the first thing that came to mind because I don't know the measurements. It's like a nickel or a dime bag. A dime bag is one.
Leafly tells me I could expect to pay between $490 and $1,000 for a pound of weed.
I thought it would be more.
I did too.
Maybe because they legalized it, it's not as much anymore.
Maybe.
How much, Dan's all like, how much does a banana cost, Dan?
$10? $10. And at night, Clint Howard finally wakes up to find there is something crawling around under his skin. So he grabs a gun and starts shooting whatever it is under his skin. Back at the camp, while Charles and Miss Lambert are banging, kids nearly set the woods on fire with gasoline. So he comes at them and yells at them, but Melissa calls him on trying to replace her mom by banging Miss Lambert. I'm assuming that's the family dynamic here, because we don't really get into it. And Panic has a great reaction to that statement. I did notice the reaction of Alfonso or Ribeiro when that line is dropped made me laugh. And while that's going on, Panic's dog gets attacked by a tick. And when Panic finds him, the dog is writhing around on the ground and then just dies. So the dog dies in this movie. That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a movie about ticks. I mean, and who's more prone to getting attacked by a tick than a dog?
Well, it's funny you mention that because earlier this morning, I pulled a tick off one of my dogs after I took them out. So
there you go.
Yeah, it plays true.
Mm-hmm. So Panic goes to pack up and leave, and Tyler tries to calm him down, but he calls him crazy, so Panic threatens him with a knife, not squashing those crazy rumors. In the morning, the tick eggs are starting to spread all over the campground. Charles calls the sheriff out, played by Ron Howard's dad, to take a look at the dog's body. Doesn't really have much to say, but also mentions that a local guy in the area didn't come home last night. Assuming he's talking about Clint Howard.
Yeah, he said something, and then he's a little bit of balding.
And he says, yay high. Again, all comes back to the height. Yeah.
And he's the one man in this movie that can make that statement.
Yeah, because he can see all the tops of everybody's heads.
And just using any excuse possible to well, they mentioned it, so of course I'm going to talk about it.
I'm on the same page with Rance Howard. Like, standing at a gentlemanly 6'1". Really?
I guess because he's surrounded by shorties, he looked much taller.
Yeah.
I guess that'll do that, right?
That's true. After he leaves, Tyler tells Charles and Miss Lambert that Panic left last night, and they blame Tyler for Panic leaving, so he storms off back to the cabin. Terrible therapists. If this is what their job is, to try and heal these kids, they immediately blame him.
I think they dropped all pretense of like an experiment. Or
right.
As soon as ticks show up, that's it. That is the focus of the movie. There's nothing else. There's no B plot. Just ticks.
But it's like you are some sort of caregiver at this moment. You know this kid's dog just died from who knows what the fuck in the woods.
Right.
And you don't check on him throughout the night.
And you don't even allow him to go with you to the vet's office or like the coroner or whatever.
Well, he's already gone at that point.
Yeah.
Well,
He left the night before.
oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, because he sees the van drive by.
Mm.
Right. Because I was gonna say that's pretty. When I looked up, I saw that Seth Green was with Charles Danson, so I was like, all right, well, why isn't Alfonso Ribeiro there?
Okay, how much did you stop paying attention to?
Not that I wasn't paying attention. I was
Because-
bouncing a baby around a little bit.
Because these next scenes explicitly lay out the reason for all of that.
Okay, so I remember the dog dying.
Yeah.
And the doctor or the psychiatrist not really helping Alfonso Ribeiro.
Right. At all. That's the whole thing. It's like he dies at night. They don't check on him.
No.
Right? Because he leaves immediately.
Well, he Alfonso Ribeiro finds Seth Green, and is it the psychiatrist? He finds someone and he says how the dog didn't remember him, and he starts crying.
He finds the dog, he brings it back where
Yes.
Peter Scolari and Seth Green are. And he tells them all of that. Yes.
Yeah.
Then he goes back to the cabin and starts packing up his shit immediately. Seth Green tries to talk him out of it.
I remember that. Yes.
At no point through the night does Peter Scolari or Miss Lambert check on the young child that is in their care who has just witnessed his dog die. Not until the morning, after breakfast is made, the sheriff is called out, does someone say, hey, why don't you get Panic for breakfast? And that's when Tyler says, oh, Panic left last night, right after his dog died, basically. And then they blame Tyler, the 16-year-old who is not responsible for Panic's well-being at all.
That's
They blame him.
I did not see that part. I missed that part.
Yes, Peter Scolari was too busy fucking to worry
Right,
about.
yeah. They must have went right back to fucking.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, right, because they do the bonfire before, right, and that causes Peter Scolari to jump out of bed,
Yes.
and then he goes back, and then the dog dies.
Well, the dog dies before he goes back. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. So I guess they mission accomplished. So he doesn't care anymore.
He got his nut. The rest of the weekend is gravy.
Right. We really needed that B conning this woman into going to the woods with him. Like, listen, why don't you and I get away for the weekend? Oh, I can't. I really shouldn't. Well, listen, I got to bring some kids along for a psychiatry experiment. I could use the help. Wink, wink. We really needed that plot.
This feels like a storyline of Bosom Buddies.
Oh yeah.
Just without the cross-dressing.
Right. And maybe it was a story that got scrapped.
Yeah.
It's on the cutting room floor.
Melissa goes to comfort Tyler in a cabin, and they start to get close, but then Charles comes in and tells him he's going to take the dog to the vet and looks for Panic on the way and wants Tyler to come with him.
I love that he outright denies his daughter. Like, nope, you can't go.
This is men's work.
His men's work.
So they go, and on the way, Tyler tells him about when he was 8. He and his dad went camping, and his dad got drunk and left him in the woods for a couple of days. Nothing comes of this. They go to the vet, and the vet takes a look at the dog and notices that the dog has been drained of all of its blood. And I'm surprised, the sheriff didn't notice.
Yeah, it's a very strange situation where a few people have looked at this dog and no one really can tell that what's happened to it. It's pretty easy to see.
Yeah,
what happened.
She then says she found a mass, and when she tries to extract it, it starts to fight back until eventually it pulls out the mass, which winds up being a giant tick. Then it starts to run, but they trap it in one of the rooms. Then it attacks Tyler. Charles manages to get it off of him, and the vet steps on it and smashes it. And then the vet takes a look at the tick and says that it seems like it might have been mutated by a steroid that local farmers use to stimulate growth of their marijuana plants. Meanwhile, in the woods, Panic pulls the tick off of himself. Back to camp, Holly convinces Melissa to take Kelly fishing. Kelly's another person that I haven't mentioned yet, and there's a reason for it because she's useless.
Yeah, she literally does not talk until this scene.
Right. So while Rome and Dee Dee, the other two, the convertible couple, stay behind to work on their tans, On the way to the lake, Kelly tells Melissa that Holly has really helped her recover from being raped, so she should give her a chance. And then they wind up finding the body of the sheriff in the lake.
Oh,
Meanwhile-
there's a scene in that scene, an outtake or like a botched line. Dee Dee, they discover the police car, and Dee Dee says it's a ship.
Yeah, so that's Melissa.
Oh, Melissa, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I was confused.
Me too.
I didn't know who this was. I thought this was like I thought this was a deputy, not the sheriff that we have already seen, Rance Howard. But at the end, Melissa says, "You guys must have killed the sheriff too," something like that.
Right. So it's not Ron Howard's father in the lake. It's some other
look like it. Yeah,
it does not look like him at all.
Yeah.
And
that's what was even further confusing to the previous line when he's talking about a guy that didn't last night. Like, okay, was he talking about that guy?
They must have been.
Or was he talking about Clint Howard?
It couldn't have been Clint Howard. He wasn't dead yet.
But he didn't come home last night. No, I'm not talking about the guy in the water. I'm talking about when he's talking about so and so didn't come home last night.
Okay.
Was this other deputy, sheriff, whatever? Or
okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, they don't make it clear.
No, not at all.
Yeah. I don't know. This could just as easily it'd be so much easier. It would make a whole lot more sense.
Yes.
And meanwhile, Dee Dee in woods probably looking for a place to bang. And Dee Dee winds up stumbling upon the grow house where now there are hundreds of tick eggs. And she runs into Clint Howard, who begs her to shoot him. Then she trips, falls. He falls on top of her. Then his face explodes and a tick attaches itself to her neck. She runs out. Meanwhile, Panic is hallucinating from the neurotoxins from the tick bite when he is attacked by the hillbillies because they think he's interested in the marijuana crop. And also probably because he's black, but most assuredly because they want to fuck his dead corpse.
That's probably the number one.
Yes. So they beat the shit out of him until he stabs one of them in the leg and then for it. He winds up further onto their land and trips over a tripwire, continues to fight with one of them while the other shoots at him, misses him, but sets a gas can on fire and then hits him with the second shot. And they run from the fire, which begins to burn down the entire marijuana crop. And then Panic takes some steroids for the healing powers, I suppose. I don't think that's how those work. Meanwhile, Dee Dee is hallucinating from her bite as Roman tries to get her back to the cabin. Tyler and Charles find them, so they put her in the van and drive her and Roman back to the cabin. The group holds up in the cabin as the fire grows, sending more ticks towards them to escape the fire. Then the hillbillies also show up and some ticks on them. And then Panic comes in, bloodied with a tick on him, and he's seizuring. They hold him down while Tyler uses the lighter to burn the tick off of him. And then Panic says, "Sir, shot him," and then he dies.
The tick explodes out of him, or something explodes out of him.
Mm-hmm.
What? Yeah. It was a tick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't know exactly what happened. They put fire on him and it exploded?
Yeah.
Okay.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Okay. I just wanted to see if I got those events right.
Yeah. At this point, chaos officially ensues as Sir pulls a shotgun on everyone and starts threatening the group. Sir demands the keys to the van, shoots Charles in the leg until they hand it over, forces Jerry to get into the van, but he gets attacked by a tick, winds up driving the van into the cabin, essentially trapping everyone inside and hitting Sir in the process. Panic starts to seize until a giant tick explodes out of his body, splitting his corpse into pieces, and then attacks Sir. Meanwhile, Tyler uses his tire swing to swing out the window to get to the van. The rest of the group then ties bed sheets together and throws out the second window. Start to climb out as Tyler backs the van near. Tyler then has to go up and help Rome as he almost gets killed by the giant tick. Tyler throws a torch at it and it retreats, and they are able to get away.
My favorite part of this whole scene is when they throw the lit broom from the van to Seth Green and he catches it perfectly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the second floor.
On
And
the
the second
second
floor window. Yeah.
Yeah. Just as the fire is engulfing the entire forest, it reaches the propane tank of the cabin and blows up the whole house. Tyler then drives the van back to LA, and later on at a junkyard where the van sits, an egg falls from underneath the van. And that is the end of Ticks.
Tick 2 in the hood.
That's true.
Yeah. I was torn with the ending because I was pleased that they introduced a giant tick.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I was not expecting it. But then I was severely disappointed with how the giant tick is dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
There's no catchphrase, right? There's no final line to the tick.
What's a good catchphrase?
Oh, here, hold this for me, and throw
That's pretty
the
good.
and they throw the broom, and it just like, boom or whatever, you know. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen a little something like that. Not just they kind of touch the tick with the broom and escape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I needed a really more of a climactic showdown, and I felt we were robbed of that. But again, for that budget and this time period, I think getting a giant tick is really all you can ask for in this movie.
I'm asking ChatGPT.
What should be the final line?
Give me a one-liner. That sucks. Give me 10 more.
Got a light.
The hold this for me is a pretty good 90s line.
Yeah. You see, that's why artificial intelligence will never take over, baby. I mean, for all we know, that whatever Ant put in, it could have been better.
I have to be more specific. Hold on.
Mark, do you have a one-liner?
Something stupid came in my head was TikTok time's up. I don't know.
TikTok.
I don't know. I was trying to think of something with tick in it.
Suck on this is a good one because that's what ticks do. They, they suck.
I immediately thought of that, but I had heard that way too much playing Final Fantasy VII.
All right, so it did not help very much, but here is what some of the suggestions. With this final blow, you're done. Say goodbye, pest. Time to burn.
Yeah.
This ends now.
Okay.
Burn in hell. Lights out, bug.
I like that one.
That was, yeah.
It's over, you monster. Feel the heat.
Not bad.
Rest in pieces. Good riddance. Not great.
There's a couple in there that were okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be better.
It took a couple of tries to explain to ChatGPT what I was asking for, like an actual one-liner.
It didn't understand the assignment.
Yeah, fucking AI. This is why it's useless. Let's stop.
Yeah.
Stop now. Stop while we're ahead.
Here.
Yeah, it was fun while it lasted. Now we could just stop doing all the AI things.
The novelty has worn off.
Yeah. So that's Ticks, and it was fine. It was kind of chaos in the last 20 minutes, which almost makes up for some slaggy times in the middle. But otherwise, that's it. And we are going to take a quick break, and you guys are going to listen to some ads, pay those bills, and we'll be back for a third segment. So we will be right back. And welcome back. Now it's time for a third segment. And after we badmouth ChatGPT, we are going to rely heavily on ChatGPT for a third segment. So earlier today, I asked ChatGPT to give me some titles of movies and plots of one-word bug horror movies, basically. So I have title, tagline, plot summary, and some casts of 10. I don't think we're going to go through all 10, but 10 fictional horror movies that are based around basically bugs running amok, like ticks. So we're going to go read through these. Maybe I'll ask you guys, after I read the plot summary, who you think would be a good cast or something for this. And we'll see what ChatGPT thinks. All right?
Sounds good.
I'm in.
All right. So the first one I'm going to read the tagline first. And you guys tell me what you think the name of this movie is. Tagline is "The Swarm is Coming."
Okay.
Bees.
Yeah,
Good,
that sounds like wasps.
Okay. It's actually Locusts. The title is Locusts. The plot summary is: when a small farming town is overrun by a massive swarm of locusts, the townspeople discover these insects are more than just a plague. They're a hive mind with a sinister purpose.
Ooh.
Survivors must band together to find the source of the infestation before locusts do everything in their path. Doesn't give you a whole lot to guess a cast on there, but
And they find out that the thing behind it all is Moses.
Yeah.
wow,
It's an angry Moses come back.
a religious film. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, he was denied entry into the good land, right? Or the promised land. So now he's coming back for his vengeance.
So who plays Moses in this movie?
Oh, that's a good question. Gerard Butler.
I was going to say Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe's a good one too.
Willem Dafoe's a good one. Yeah. For the film Locusts, for each one of these, I asked that for a romantic lead, a secondary lead that dies at the end of the second act, and 2 villains. So each one of these should have all those. So for our lead, we have Amy Adams, a determined farmer. Romantic interest, John Krasinski as Ben, a local sheriff. A little office reunion there. Secondary lead, Maisie Williams as Jenny, a young entomologist. Dies end of the second act. A lackey villain, Jack O'Connell as Kyle, a corrupt farmhand. Not sure I know who Jack O'Connell is.
Is that
Do
like
I know
Jerry
who Jack-
O'Connell's kid or something?
His brother?
His brother, maybe?
Jack O'Connell from
I don't know who that is.
Unbroken. He's got random face.
He's just a guy.
Just a guy,
Just a
as far
dude.
as I could tell. And main villain, Gary Oldman as Mayor Stanton, who hides his role in the Locust creation.
I like
That's
that.
good.
That's a good movie.
Yeah. The only one that made me cringe is Krasinski. I think you could do a better sheriff.
Who are you picking?
I don't know. For
you
some
wanna
reason,
go-
in my head, I was thinking maybe a Bill Hader or somebody of that ilk.
Interesting. You think Bill Hader more as sheriff than a John Krasinski, huh?
Yeah, I think in this type of movie, I feel small town sheriff. I feel Bill Hader fits the role more in my head. Krasinski seems too metropolitan.
I'd say go David Harbour.
That's a good choice.
You
too.
just like. I mean, it's obviously the image is
Stranger
there.
Things.
Yeah.
He's pulled it off.
Yeah. You go Carl Urban. I think Carl Urban's always a good answer.
Carl Urban's great.
I also think that going back to height, I think Krasinski might be too tall for the role.
There's no such thing. There's no such thing as being too tall, Mark.
He's going to be way taller than everyone else in this movie. Like, it's going to be a giant amongst children with Amy Adams and Maisie Williams.
It's not like we're talking about Seth Green here.
And it's like, welcome to my world. It's like hanging around you guys.
All right. Here's the next one. The tagline is "Sucked Dry." What do you think that is?
Boy, the Hawk Tua girl?
Oh man, you're dating this
They-
podcast right there.
Yeah.
Did they make another Ticks movie?
No, they did not.
Okay.
Sucked dry.
This should be pretty obvious. It is Mosquito.
Oops.
I don't know why that didn't pop up. Terrible.
Plot summary here. A new strain of genetically engineered mosquitoes is released into the environment to combat disease, but instead, they mutate and become deadly predators. As the mosquitoes breed and spread, a group of scientists and soldiers must stop the outbreak before humanity is drained dry.
Ooh.
Nice. Little
Just put
military.
some candles with some smoke out.
There you go.
That's how it ends. They create the world's largest citronella candle.
You probably get some money from Big Citronella.
Citronella. Those fiends.
All right, so we have here.
Quick, hand me that Deep Woods Off spray.
All right. So for our lead, we have Tom Hardy as Major Al Turner, a soldier.
Okay.
Romantic interest, Rachel McAdams as Dr. Olivia Martin.
I like that.
Secondary lead is Zendaya as Kayla, a young scientist who dies at the end of the second act.
Ooh, I don't know if that would happen. I don't know if Zendaya dies in anything.
She doesn't feel like she's die material, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Lackey villain is Tom Hiddleston as Dr. Edwards, a shady researcher.
Okay, that works for Hiddleston.
Yeah.
And main villain is Mads Mikkelsen as Dr. Ivanov, the mastermind behind the mutation.
That's perfect.
Yes. Yeah,
He'd be so menacing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we just have to recast the one. So
Oh,
Zendaya.
Someone who dies in the second half.
I don't,
What about
if we're going younger actress,
like
I don't know
Joey
why.
King?
Okay.
I could see Joey King dying.
Yeah, I don't know. Like Zoe Deutsch jumped into my head
Zoe Deutsch, okay.
for that role,
Sure.
but
Sounds
definitely not
good to me.
Zendaya. She would not sign on for that movie if she wasn't going to be in the whole thing.
I agree.
All right.
She's like, give me Rachel McAdams role.
All right. Here's the next one. The tagline is "Gnawing away your sanity." Ooh, I like that one.
Beavers?
No, it's a good one though.
Gnawing away. It's all insects, right?
Yep.
Okay. Oh,
Termites?
termites.
Termites. Yep.
Yeah.
Plot summary is: a small town's homes begin to collapse. The townspeople discover that the culprit is a breed of giant, aggressive termites. As the town crumbles, a group of survivors must uncover the source and stop the infestation before the entire town is devoured.
I love how all these movies have to follow the same plot beat.
It's very Mad Libs, right? That's really what Chat GPT is doing right now. It's playing Mad Libs.
I think you can only do so much with insects anyway, right?
Yeah.
No, I meant the whole a group of people have to find the source.
Oh,
it's
sure.
sort of the main thing of everything here.
Yeah. It's playing Mad Libs.
Yeah.
But for lead, we have Emily Blunt as Anne, a determined architect. I do like the fact that it's an architect.
That's pretty good.
Romantic interest, Chris Pratt as Mark, a local firefighter.
Good name.
Secondary lead is Millie Bobby Brown as Sophie, a teenager with a knack for science, dies at the end of the second act.
Okay. Again, I don't know if she would be dying material.
Yeah. I feel like secondary lead that dies at the end of the second half, believability, you got to go male.
Sure. Yeah, I would agree with that. I can't see Zendaya and Millie Bobby Brown dying.
Yeah. Lackey villain is Sam Claflin as Carl, a crooked contractor. I like how it's still thematic with architects.
That is very interesting. Because what does it matter?
And main villain is Ray Fiennes as Mr. Bellamy, a corporate magnate with dark secrets.
I guess that's a good Ray Fiennes role.
That's not too bad.
I think I found the one that we're going to end on, and this might be the last one.
Okay, all right, let's do it.
They thrive in darkness.
Thrive in darkness. Insects that thrive in darkness.
Roaches?
Roaches it is.
Wow, nice, Mark.
I was trying to think what
experience.
From experience. My place is infested with roaches.
You deal with a whole bunch of apartments in Philadelphia. I'm assuming you've come across one roach.
Oh yeah, I was making a Joe's apartment joke more than anything. But yes,
I see that on the list now. All right. Plot summary. In a post-apocalyptic world overrun by giant, intelligent cockroaches, a small band of survivors must navigate the ruins of their city to find a rumored safe haven. Along the way, they discover the roaches have a queen leading their hive, and they must destroy her to stop the infestation. So the cast, our lead is Norman Reedus as Rick, a grizzled survivor.
I like
a romantic interest, Charlize Theron as Claire, a former scientist.
Okay.
Secondary lead, Sophie Turner as Jamie, a brave teenager, dies at the end of the second act. Again.
Yeah.
Now, Sophie Turner is more realistic for that role, though.
I think so, yeah. But I agree and disagree, because I do think she would be a good fit. I don't see her dying again.
Yeah.
I think ChatGPT has just a hard-on for killing young women.
Yeah.
Lucky.
Good.
Of the three we got in this role, Sophie's probably the most realistic to actually die in the second act.
You know who I was thinking of? I'm thinking female, but I'm gonna go older because the plot had the queen in it. I'm gonna say Sigourney Weaver. Get her in there to fight another queen.
Interesting. Okay, we have lackey villain Paul Dano as Leah, traitorous survivor, and the main villain as the queen, the leader of the roaches, Tilda Swinton.
Perfect. Perfect.
Oh, no. It's practical effects too.
I just assumed it was a human being that was the queen of the roaches.
Yeah, I would take that too. I don't care who else is in the rest of that movie. If you just told me there's a movie about giant killer roaches and their queen is Tilda Swinton, I am seeing that movie day one.
Yeah.
In the theaters.
I'm getting a babysitter and we're going to see that movie.
I don't even. You could have the worst actors playing any other role. I'm like, nope. I just need to see Tilda Swinton as a queen of insects.
Yeah, so wearing a roach hat.
Yeah,
the antenna
crown, I suppose. Some of the other ones that we're not. Nid beetles with 2 E's. Termites. We talk about roaches. We talk about.
What if it was beetles, but it was like killing roaches that looked like the Beatles?
They have the personality. Ringo, John. Don't step on me, mate.
Please, let's not. Scorpions,
Oh, that'd be good.
worms,
Mm.
wasps. Wasp was interesting because the villains were played by Aaron Paul and Brian Cranston.
Okay.
And then ants, which has this banger of a tagline: "United they stand, divided you fall."
Oh, that's pretty good.
Right? That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
That's a good tagline.
The main villain is Jeff Goldblum.
Perfect.
Lead is
No,
Viola
that's-
Davis with romantic interest Mark Ruffalo. You love to see it.
Yeah, I'm all
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah. So that's our ChatGPT bug movie. Yeah.
I'm interested to
So-
see if what people think of the ChatGPT casting and some of our fill-ins there.
Yeah.
So if anyone cares to let us know.
Yeah. I feel like we've done something similar, and they always kind of play the same names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Chris
No.
Pratt definitely shows up more than once.
Yeah.
And
Like
we
Daniel
belong-
Craig is in one of these. Scarlett Johansson, Jake Gyllenhaal,
Mhm.
Brie Larson. You know, there's no real
Surprises.
out of left field names. Walton Goggins, Willem Dafoe, Ben Mendelsohn, Jenna Ortega.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, so that's going to be our episode. Check us out on all our socials: Threads, X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at TickTamPod, probably for most of those. They Call This a Movie on TikTok is another place to get a hold of us. TickTamPod@gmail.com, other place to get a hold of us if you want to pitch your one-word titled bug horror movie with your tagline, plot summary, and cast. And we'd love to hear it, read it, whatever you do with an email. I guess you read it. And yeah, or just give us 5-star review and all your podcasts. Choice helps us out a great deal. That is going to wrap us up for Ticks. The director was Tony Randall, not that one. So for Dan Aquino and Mark Myers, this is Anthony Vecchio telling the other Tony Randall, well, you certainly made a movie, didn't you? Thanks for listening to They Call This a Movie. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to check us out on Twitter and Instagram at TickTamPod. That's TCTAM Pod. You can also check us out on TikTok at They Call This a Movie.